Hey y'all, I got something to say. I'm wondering if anybody else experiences, and now I just left from the store, particularly Whole Foods, no big deal. And there was a young black man that walked through the parking lot. He looked to his left, he looked to his right, and then quickly turned away. To his right was another black woman, and he looked straight at me. Of course, I'm a black woman. And then as I go into the store, I see another black man, and I tend to get this every time I'm in the grocery store. What is the problem with brothers speaking to black women?
When I hear Black women bring up these pressing questions, it usually gives me an indication as to the kind of relationships they have with Black men, or the lack thereof. Because any woman, any Black woman who is in relationships with Black men where they are regularly interacting and communicating, talking back and forth, listening back and forth, is going to have some understanding or insight into what actually may be going on. And so, again, the very fact that she has to ask this on a public platform on TikTok is letting me know that she may not actually be in close proximity and close relationships with Black men. That is really important to understand, because I think as women, we're not really encouraged to listen to men. Let's just be honest, particularly in Black American culture. We've heard believe all women, believe all Black women, protect all Black women. And listen, I'm not necessarily opposed to creating an environment that respects women's voice, but we do not exist in a society that is about nurturing healthy dialogue between men and women. And we especially don't live in a society that wants to hear anything Black women have to say. Nobody wants to hear what Black women have to say. Usually what is expected is that Black men live up to a particular code of conduct based upon old, quote unquote, patriarchal ideals of chivalry and traditionalism. And when they don't do those things, they are shamed, we get upset, we are angry. And my thing is, before we jump to getting upset and angry, first ask. Seek understanding. Try to listen to their perspective, their point of view, because that might actually give you a perspective that you may never have considered. And that might actually cultivate a culture of empathy. But just getting offended or getting upset, jumping to conclusions, it doesn't really change the scenario. If anything, it actually starts to drive resentment and discontentment between men and women. But let's continue.
Now there was a sister in the store, and she looked me in the eye, and hey, how you doing? How you doing? Another black woman, hey, how you doing? How you doing? But when it comes to black men, they turn their heads so quickly as to think that like every black woman is desperate, or oh, I don't want to say hi, she might think that I'm trying to talk to her. What is up with that?
Now, a couple of things. Some of this could be environmental, because I have been in scenarios where neither Black woman or Black men have acknowledged me, okay? Particularly in the more affluent areas, people just don't really want to deal with each other, right? They are not trying to be friendly with a random person they see in the store, on the street. This is something that I've noticed. Now, maybe it's more Bay Area thing, I don't know, but people can be really cold. And whereas there's some other environments where it's like people are just chill. So some of this really could just be environmental. Secondly, I think something that we really have to contend with is, how long have Black men been saying smile? How long have Black men been saying, man, like, it just seems really hard to approach these women because some of them just have a resting bee face, for lack of a better term, right? Like, these are complaints that Black men have had. And then you hear Black women just like, I ain't smile for no nigga, I ain't smiling, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. I mean, these are conversations we've heard online on social media. For anyone who may feel or resonate with her, just consider, what is the energy that you are bringing when you are seeing these men? Do you have a smile on your face? Do you have like kind eyes? Because I'm like, usually if you smile to somebody, even if they tend to be more quiet or shy, even if you smile at a person, then there's something in just like human decency that wants to smile back, or at least nod or something. Like, that's just really basic. So my thing is like, are y'all coming up here with resting bee faces, looking mean as hell, looking like you can cuss somebody out, and then mad that a dude don't want to approach you? Because if you are, you also have to consider that we live in a post-Me Too era where women have said out of their own mouth they don't want men, they don't need men, and that, just patriarchy is misogynistic and chivalry is misogynistic, and if a man approaches you that you're not attracted to, then that's harassment. Like, there's just been so many different societal movements that have just made it difficult for men, period, to want to approach a woman. unless there are clear choosing signals, or she comes off as incredibly nice, approachable, sweet, kind, open, interested. Like, men are just not going out of their way to try to chance something that they've been told women don't want. So I think that's something that we really have to consider when we are having these conversations. Also, like, who cares? Like, you're in a happy relationship. You have your man, or you have your woman, and you have your family, whatever. Like, you don't really need the validation of a random stranger to feel cool. You know what I mean? Or to feel like you're human. We live in a broken world. Like, we don't know what people be going through. Folks be stressed out about bills, about relationship issues, about child support, about sicknesses, about can they get evicted. Like, there is real life going on here. So sometimes people are just so in their own world. Like, they're not even trying to be disrespectful. They just have stuff going on. And the last thing they're trying to do is go out of their way to make a random stranger feel better about themselves. And so sometimes too, it's not even that deep. It's just maybe those particular people, maybe those men that you're seeing have a lot going on. It's not even personal. That's also something to consider.
Somebody needs to help me out with that. What is wrong with when you see another Black person just to speak?
You know, another thing that she's touching upon right now is the unintended effects of feminism. And I've mentioned this in previous videos, right? How I don't know that women were prepared for the reality of equality, and how when men really start to treat you equal, really start to treat you as peers, they're not opening doors for you anymore. They're expecting you to pay half. They're not carrying your luggage. They're not doing these things that quote unquote chivalrous men do, because you are a independent, self-reliant woman who does not need men to cater to you in order to, to go to point A to point B. And so this is the environment that's been cultivated, on top of the fact, by the way, that even if let's just think about the advent of social media in different places, like, the Black manosphere, or just different places where men are going to, or the red pill space where men are basically going and voicing their frustrations. Whether you agree or disagree, whether you think there's some misogyny, there's something about men finding a place where they feel like their voice is being heard. But unfortunately, those places have not received a lot of empathy or sympathy or support from women. A lot of women say, hey, these men are just misogynistic. These dudes are crazy. They hate their mom, and did this, and that. And while I do understand that there's some of that going on in these spaces, what they're not really willing to understand and look at is the issues that are actually legitimately impacting the lives of men, particularly Black men, the Black male political agenda. We talked about this. You only hear politicians talking about that when they want their votes. But outside of that, there doesn't really seem to be a rallying cry or a deep understanding for women to understand the perspective of men. So because of that, if men feel like, y'all don't really care about what I have to say anyways, they're not going to go out of their way to now try to say hi to you out of some weird sense of obligation, out of some weird sense of moral obligation, because it's fake. It's not real, genuine. And so I think what she's talking upon are now more of the impacts of a broken down society and a broken down contract or relationship between men and women that really need to be rebuilt and really need to be addressed before you can have that, I'm Black, you're Black, so we just say hi to each other. Like, that environment existed in my grandma and my great aunt's era, where if your neighbor had something, you had something, where they worked together, where they were pulling together resources and literally sharing things, literally taking care of each other. Like, it existed in that dynamic. But unfortunately, a lot of Black folks have adapted individualism. And on top of that, you have people who are coming from toxic families, misogyny, misandry, which no one wants to talk about misandry, and that's going to impact people's interactions. And so I think what she's speaking to has more to do with some deeper challenges that are actually going on in the Black community, versus then it has to do, oh, Black women just want to speak to Black women. Like, that's just, no, that's shaming language. And I think that's not really being fair. No, that could be considered shaming. And I don't think that's really looking at some of the deeper challenges.
And not because you're not looking me in the eye, but you're looking me in my eye. You're actually looking at me, glancing, and then you turn away. Just say hello. How you doing? Nice to see. Hello, ma'am, or whatever, and just speak.
Again, a real easy fix. You could smile. You could smile. And again, I don't know how she is looking or what she is doing, but I think a smile or a nod is a great way to initiate that interaction. Really simple, really quick, and I think something that women could also do, particularly in this environment, if this is the kind of interaction they want from strangers.
Nobody is desperate for you brothers out there.
Okay, so notice the shaming language, and I'm gonna explain. Let's flip the genders. Have a black man go up there and say, nobody is desperate for you black women out there. Y'all just need to smile to black men. Y'all just need to smile. That would be considered shaming. And I actually think it's these little things that are undermining this kind of interaction that she is saying. If black women appears that they have an era of entitlement, if they appear mean, if they appear shaming, any of those kind of different things, a lot of men right now are just going to veer on the side of caution and say, I would rather not engage and get myself in a potential predicament. So that's why I'm saying the best way to handle this, in my opinion, if it's that serious, is just smile, nod. Let them know that you are someone who isn't going to cuss him out, or someone who's going to say you're harassing him, or someone who's going to beat him up, or someone who's going to do the things that other women actually might do who don't like men. Like, assure him through your smile that you're open to a hi. It's that simple.
As a matter of fact, I am well taken. But it is very disrespectful to me, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong or if you experience this. Black men, if you see another black woman in the grocery store, just say hello.
Okay, respectfully, any woman who is well taken or in a happy relationship with another black man really does not care. They do not need the validation or the approval or the nod of another man. Secondly, I'm like, if you were actively talking and listening and engaging with men, they would tell you. That's why I'm like, I'm really trying to believe her. Honestly, the math isn't mathing for me. But listen, only she knows.
That's all you have to do. Nobody wants your phone number. Nobody wants you to date them or marry them. Just say hello. Because I'm pretty sure if you're black, then you got a black mama, a black auntie, a black cousin. Hopefully, I'm hoping that you speak to them. So just acknowledge us as the same. We all family. Just say hello. Nobody wants a marriage proposal, okay? It's okay to say hello to your fellow black women out in public. Whether it's at the park, at the grocery store, at the bank, just say hello. Matter of fact, you don't even have to say hello. Just do a nod, and that'll be good. Now this is just a public announcement from a fellow black woman, okay?
Black women are not this pressed by ugly, unattractive black men. They are not. If they see an ugly, unattractive, undesirable black man looking like a hobo, looking like a whole dusty, they don't want to hear from him. That is harassment. And so I think some of this passion that we hear is when there are black women who see attractive, good-looking, successful, desirable black men not giving them the time of day. That's where the saltiness comes. And as I said before, I would just encourage the ladies, before you start telling black men what they need to do, how they need to conduct themselves, their behavior, listen to them first, please. These are grown men. These are whole human beings. Listen to what they have to say. Maybe ask them, why does this happen? Why am I noticing this trend? Why don't you feel comfortable approaching me? Do that before you start trying to shame them on the whole yo mama black stuff. Like, the shaming language is just not really going to work at all, and we're seeing it. Anyways, those are my thoughts, y'all. What do you think? Also, be sure to find me on Patreon to members only. I just opened up my Discord to members only, and so that's another great way to connect with me in real time. Check me out there, and thank you so much for listening. If you've gotten this far, we'll talk later. Bye.